Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at just how good the LR Super Saiyan Goku Angel and Super Saiyan Vegeta Angel unit is in the Pure Saiyans, in the Fusion ESBR. I'm so used to running them in Pure Saiyans because of how difficult the stage is. But I thought we'd try something different and just see how good they are in obviously the Fusion ESBR. Now obviously the Fusion ESBR is a little bit more outdated, I want to say, than some of the other ones. This stage doesn't hit nearly as hard compared to some of the newer ESBR and also some of the newer SBR. Some of the newer SBR honestly actually hit like pretty hard comparatively to some of these older ESBR. So generally, it's just a good look at how they do in some of the hard content in the game. Obviously, one of the big benefits of the ESBR or SBR or anything like that is that you can stun enemies, you can seal enemies, you can do quite a lot against, I want to say, the opposition. So your evasion is active, all of these things are active, and generally speaking you actually have a little bit of control over what's going on, which I think is pretty good. With that being said, of course, it's just to get a pretty good idea of how well they do defensively, how well they do offensively, but right off the bat we can see pretty decent. 4.1 million, 4.2 million. They've got that medium chance of crit on both attacks, which is obviously great. Plus they have the medium chance at evasion, which is also great. They raise defense on their super attack as well. So across the board they're looking pretty solid. Pretty decent beginning. Obviously they're also nice as a lead now because they are 180% lead for the fusion category. So if you're not running the fused fighters, they are the second best lead for the fusion category, which I think is pretty good. So in terms of their details, obviously the Goku Angel and the Vegeta Angel, they raise attack and defense for one turn on their super attack. They raise attack and defense on their 18 key as well. They have 180% attack and defense at the start of turn, along with a medium chance of performing a critical hit and a medium chance of evading the enemy's attack. They have key +2 in addition per rainbow keys you're obtained, and they will also fuse when conditions are met. So they got a lot going on for them. They fuse when HP is 50% or low, starting from the 6th turn of battle. Now, you're very rarely going to get this in SBR and ESBR. Generally speaking, if your team has got to the 6th stage, you're usually probably on the back foot, or you're struggling. Or you just have very low damage and a great amount of control. If that's the case, then fantastic, you get a free heal and they transform. Even though we're not going to see the transformation, they do obviously raise defense and greatly raise defense on their 18 key, while also greatly lowering attack and defense. They have attacks effective against all types, attack and defense at 200%, and perform a critical hit when attacking, and a high chance of evading for 3 turns from the start of turn. They also have a high chance of performing a critical hit and medium chance of evading from the 4th turn. They will also gain 3 key per rainbow orb instead of 2. Here we're going to see them tank really well without an item, which is really good. Obviously, for me, they're more than fine. Obviously, this is a rainbow unit, so you're going to be seeing more or less of a performance depending on how many dupes you have. But generally speaking, the rainbow unit does fine. And by fine, I mean pretty good. So for Fusion ESBR, it'll definitely handle Fusion ESBR. For something like Pure Saiyans, they're not going to be able to tank normals in Pure Saiyans without an item, but Pure Saiyans is a very hard hitting stage. But after super attacking, they'll be able to tank normals, which is pretty good. And you still have the heal, I guess, although again you shouldn't really get to turn 6, but they do great damage, and I think that's kind of where they lie as a unit. They do really good damage. They do really good, or have very solid defense and a very good mixture of kits. The crit chance, the evasion, all of that sort of stuff helps out a lot. And generally speaking, they're quite impressive as units. So for me, I think they do a great job as units. And I think if you do have them and you haven't completed Fusion ESBR, or if you're looking for a floater or a second slot unit for the Pure Saiyans ESBR, if you're looking for them, they're good. Obviously they lack some of the really exceptional tools to really be solid in something like ESBR. Something like lowering, like in their base form, lowering attack and defense, sealing, stunning. They don't really have any of those, but they do have evasion, they do have built-in crits, they do a lot of damage. So yeah, for the most part, I think they're really solid, and they'll do more than fine no matter what happens. You can see them taking a little bit of damage from a type disadvantage Yakon, but for the most part they don't tend to take that much damage at all. Their evasion coming in clutch, which is obviously great, and yeah, just as a unit I think they don't bring a lot of utility to the table, because their heal's not something you're very often going to get. But I think they bring a very good baseline unit. They bring a unit that can defend, that can tank relatively well, with an item for sure, definitely tank exceptionally. And after super attack will tank more than fine. They bring a unit that has crits, can do good damage, and doesn't need a lot to work. Obviously they have a little bit of a key problem if you don't get rainbow orbs, but generally speaking they don't need a lot to work. They're a very simple unit, and like I said, they do bring the 180% leader skill as well. So yeah, for the most part you shouldn't really have like a massive issue running them. And I think if you are someone that's looking into using them, generally speaking I think you're gonna have a pretty decent time. But yeah, so that being said, I think they are a strong unit for SBR and ESBR. I just think in some of the more, or the newer SBR and ESBR, you're going to probably want to run them as a second slot or a floating unit. To use them in a stage like this, where the units don't hit nearly as hard as some of the newer stages. They look like an exceptional tank, whereas in some of the later ones, they wouldn't look so great, basically. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Obviously, I do think they're really solid, really good unit. I think they are lacking a little bit. That's going to make them be able to last a while in the content. But I think, for the most part, they're still a very fun unit to use, and they do very well. So yeah, and you can see the medium evasion coming in clutch there as well. So yeah. I think across the board they've done a pretty good job, and I'm quite happy with how well they've done. I think for players who are maybe looking at using them, also consider the raw stats that they bring. Great health as well, obviously a great health stat, great defense in terms of just raw starter turn defense. It's very high, and yeah, I think for the most part you should be happy. If you do have them, you should be able to take out a couple stages. They'll definitely be an aid to any team, and even without the heal, I think just the raw performance of the base Goku and Vegeta I think is more than enough. So yeah, we're gonna call it there. I'm not gonna run through the final fight. There's nothing really more for me to say. Obviously I just think they're really solid overall, and I think they bring a very good, sensible basic kit to the table. But yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.